Hey everybody, so this is the video that I promised you where I'm going to show you a little bit about how you load data into SPSS and run a couple of the things that will be required for Lab 2. So let's get started. First, we're going to go down to the Start menu. In your Start menu, under All Programs, you should find a folder that says KSU Distributed Applications. When you open that folder, there should be a folder for SPSS for Windows. Now, if you have not opted in yet, you're not going to see this folder, so make sure you opt in. Then you're going to click on 18. You can click on 20 if you'd like. I like 18 better, so that's what the video is going to be about. But either one is fine, and both should work pretty similar. Now remember how I said in class, it is going to take the SPSS program a little while to load because it is a pretty intense program. So just give it a second. Don't click it multiple times. As you can see, I've already run SPSS on this computer several times, and so it loads a lot faster. Also, if it's the first time you've ever run the program on that computer, you may get a pop-up window that says something about the firewall for Microsoft Windows being concerned about the program. If you do, this is just a glitch. It's no worries. Press either the button that says OK or the button that says Allow Access. Once you get to this screen, you're going to open an existing data source. Now, you need to have already downloaded the data that's in the Lab 2 folder, so make sure you've done that too. But we're going to go to more files, and I'm going to find the folder that I downloaded the data to. Now, I'm going to be working with data that is different than the data in Lab 2. That way you can't just watch the video and get all the answers. So note that there will be some differences and don't panic. Now, I downloaded it to my desktop, but I don't see it in this menu. That's because this menu is looking for saved data. Saved data is data that's already been imported and you've saved directly from the program. So it's not going to find it. I'm going to always send you Excel data. So once we click Excel, notice how it magically appears. So we're going to click that and open. It may take it a minute or two to actually import the data, and that's fine. Just give it a second. Again, these are big programs. So you'll probably get this pop-up menu that talks about what is it exactly you want me to do with this data. Well, I'll tell you, the easiest thing for now is just to click OK. So here's our data. Now, one of the things that is important to know is that this window here is your data editor window. This is your raw data, okay? Then there's also a variable view. The variable view allows you to change all kinds of things about the name of the category, the label that you give it for when you do analyses, what type it is, nominal, ordinal, all of that good stuff. It can also change the type of literal data, as in, is it numeric? Is it a string of words? What is it? Okay. So data and variable view are very important for running SPSS. There's also a whole second window. This is your output window. And so anytime that you run a measure or even just run the descriptives, it's going to appear in this second window. And this is a window that you could print. This is also a window where you can copy the charts and put them into a Word document. Very useful window as well. But for now, let's go back to our data. So this is some hard data. It's taken from a small sample of data I got for one of the projects I did when I was in my dissertation time, kind of a pre-dissertation time. So this is raw data that you get from SurveyMonkey. So we have to clean it up. For example, the whole first row is usually things that are, again, from a SurveyMonkey. So it says response, which is not actual data. So we want to delete row 1. That's kind of why in your instructions it tells you to do that as well. Depending on how well it imports, your columns may also have very odd titles. So we're going to go to variable view, and we're actually going to change some of these titles around to ones that are a little more easy for us. So like this one, the long title is, please indicate your counseling status. That's way too long. So we're going to do counseling status. Now, I will tell you, I've already, can't talk and write at the same time. I've already put in your directions sample ideas for what would be good labels for your data. So feel free to use the ones that are there. So as you can see, that tells me a lot more about this data than the previous titles, and it's also going to make this a lot easier on me. I want everybody to remember that I don't spell well, and it's a flaw I own. I also don't type and talk well, so we will see how these videos progress in the future. It should be acervic, not acervic. Service. There we go. All right. So now that we've done that, we go to the data. Now, this column is age. You don't have an age column for your data. You have a different column that is all numbers. So whatever I do to this, I would think that those would be the kinds of things you would also do to a number category. But then we have this area. And our gender area. These things needed to be coded because male, female, that's not as useful as sometimes the coding. Now, you could code it by hand, where I would literally click on anyone that said male and press 2, and anyone that said female and press 1. One of the problems with hand coding is that you leave yourself open for a lot of errors. So there's actually an easier way to do this. What we're going to do is we're going to go up to Edit and Replace. And what we're going to do is we're going to find all the ones that say male and replace it with 2 and click Replace All. And then SPSS is going to do it for you. It's going to go ahead and replace those things so that you don't have to do them by hand. And there we go. The entire gender column has now been appropriately changed. I'm actually going to rename that to sex because I only gave them 2 options. If you haven't taken my human sexuality course, then you'll understand why. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to go through and I'm going to recode this data into numbers, very similar to the way that I have you doing in Lab 1 using the, again, edit and replace function.